Alrighty, hello every folks, and good morning. Welcome to another edition of Know Your Unit, aka Know Your Fried Chicken. Today we are talking about the Geomancer, the alternative class for the Ferena sisters. Now, if you ever thought, wow, I like these sister units, but it would be kind of cool if they had a more badass version of the Shaman, that thing's kind of lame. So, to this end, we have the Geomancer. Now, they still have their old Shaman, sure, if you prefer to be one of these flimsy magical sorts, or you can control the damn Earth. So we've got the Geomancer, effectively bringing in same features that was there back in Final Fantasy Tactics, surprisingly adding more stuff on top of it too. Yeah, I know. You might be thinking, wait a minute, but when Vision's rebuilt from the parts of existing mechanics, how does that work? So you know how whenever anybody stands on a tile, it has the kind of accuracy bonus that they get for standing on that tile? Weirdly enough, when it comes to One Vision, apparently Rakes had figured out a while ago that it actually keeps track of the actual tile type, not just the number. So this basically meant that he was able to bring in full-blown geomancies to the game. So yeah, it has all the features from FFT. Let's go ahead and take a look. Like, for example, if we go over to the kind of browsy type of section here, they're under the Art of War section. Basically, the Art of War, as I've mentioned in what seems like every other one of these videos, is kind of a catch-all kind of pile of spells for all the stuff that doesn't fit into one of the other categories. So in their case, they have access to Windblade, Local Quake, Steam Flash, Pyroclasm, Metamorph, and Snowblind. So Windblade will be reducing TP of its targets and is usable on grass tiles. Local Quake can inflict stun, and it's going to be usable on soil, oil, and natural stone. We've got Steam Flash, which inflicts slow and is only available on swamp, water, and mold tiles. Pyroclasm, which inflicts shackle, can be used on lava and volcanic rock tiles. And you might be saying, wait, I never stand on lava, what the hell? You will get to that. This is such a cool little synergy. We'll get to that. Metamorph inflicts blind, can only be used on carved wood or stone tiles. Basically, this is the thing that breaks the Palace of the Dead. I say breaks, it's actually just really useful there, but it is really cool to see a bunch of red spikes flying around and trapping everyone to the ground. And then we've got Snowblind, which will inflict stop. It's only usable on snow and ice tiles. Now, the cool thing about this is because they're not just a kind of master of nature in the normal sense, they actually have a bunch of skills that will go and reflect this as well. So let's say we go over here and we go over to the stuff that they can learn. We've got the usual kinds of stuff that you'd expect, like weapons. I guess they'll use those. But they use Art of War to learn their geomancies. They have access to fists, daggers, one-handed swords, two-handed swords, axes, spears, hammers, and cudgels. For whatever flavor of, hey, I guess this is like FFT you'd prefer, you've got the standard augments for all elements, as well as racials for teratology, herpetology, draconology, saccharology, demonology, arology, theanology, and golemy. Because it's only the four sisters that can use this class, which means that they have a really extensive racial list. Then from there we have parry and deflect, as you'd expect, though I personally like using them for the purpose of their parry. Seeing as you can use things like pikes and shields and all of that kind of stuff. Overpower, as well as Rampart Aura to keep stuff away from you, because again, they control the earth. We've got counter hits, bashes, clarity, efficacy, jump, Heron, steadfast, which is very useful in certain locations. This is an older version of the save file, but I found it really useful in Palace of the Dead. We've got Field Alchemy going up to a rank of 1, Tactician going up to maximum rank, and Max TP going up to a rank of 1. But from there, we've got Golem's Bane for the purpose of destroying rock. We've got Lockdown for shackling enemies nearby you, effectively rooting them to the ground. Gorgon Lock to cover yourself in rocks and be resistant to most damage coming your way. Trailblazer. Now, I love this little synergy because when will you ever be standing on lava? You need some lava shoes, right? And when it comes to the dragon shoes, them the suckers are unique at this point. So, oh man, no one's ever going to use that fire move. Oh hell no, you can use Trailblazer. This gives you resistance and Emblaze, which improves your movement range and lets you walk on lava. So they kind of innately walk on lava, which is just cool to me. Then you've got Leyline, which inflicts Rupture and Stagger and Align. Now this one I haven't really used very much. We'll just go ahead and slap that sucker on there for why the hell not. You've got Instills for all your different elements. Opportunist to get around different Rampart Auras and what have you. Absorb MP to allow them to cast their stuff better. Honestly, I should be running more Absorb MP on her. That seems like a really good use case for it. And then your typical wards, as well as the ability to control golems. So this class is very, very fun. Just design-wise, they are such a damn fun thing to see. So we'll go ahead and actually probably put them on a bit of an easier map here, and then we'll kind of take a look at that. We'll replace this with this. And we'll go ahead and just kind of see how they do here. Just kind of throw them into one of the random temple maps and proceed on with the chattering. So all of their abilities are going to be available from Deneb's shop, and when it comes to their equipment, they've got access to the previous weapons that we discussed before. But for shields, we've got Power Fists, Light Shields, the main Gauche, and Focus items. For armor, they have access to Light Armor, Cloth Armor, and Mage Armor, so all they're really missing is the super heavy stuff. For standard gear, we've got Heavy Gear, Light Gear, Cloth Gear, and Mage Gear, so pretty open. And as far as innate stuff, they have a punch and no ranged attack. As far as the Druid Mark, I believe these are dropped by the Temple Guards. Yes, they are dropped by the Temple Guards. So when you fight the Temple Guardians, you'll not only get the option to get your Oracles, but you'll also get your Druids. So pretty darn useful stuff there. But this is a class that's excellent in terms of holding out in different locations, in terms of shutting down large groups of enemies at once. Because remember that their attacks actually come in with the means to actually hit in an area. So this makes them very good for shutting things down. Not to mention, even though they have to be standing on a specific tile type, the amount of debuffs that they get on top of the high accuracy of their spells means that they are very, very cozy to use. Also, I just noticed I managed to have two cursors on screen at the same time. My bad. That's it's kind of an awkward thing there, but oh well. So, we'll have our kind of ranged units do their thing here real quick. While we wait for the sister to do her thing, I'll go ahead and let's probably give her a Spirit Stone. Why not? I think that improves it. I'm actually not sure. It might be based off of weapon damage, but I don't think so. But we'll go ahead and have her use her stuff right here. So let's say we're on stone right now. We've got our Metamorph. It looks a little bit like this, that they go and they shoot a bunch of spikes out, going and impaling the target to the ground. Usually that will inflict a bind. Let's go ahead and go over this way to show what the grass looks like. We won't be able to show all of them, obviously, but it is what it is. We got Windblade coming back from the classic Tactics Ogres here. So this will have a chance to, I think it said, inflict slow? Could be mistaken on that. We've got whatever this is to use whatever this is. Local Quake. We'll see what that looks like. Get our stun going from this. There we go. Get a little bit of a mini earthquake there. So this is, to my mind, a vastly improved and far more useful version of a lot of the stuff that we saw back in FFT, where I know personally I found those to be a very heaven and hell kind of situation, where oftentimes it felt like it would either completely annihilate something or just leave them, fairly open. In this case, the actual debuffs in question are a bit more mild, but they are a lot more kind of useful day to day. So, like, let's say we were to go for Metamorph, and, like, let's say stuff like Palace of the Dead happens to have a lot of stone tiles, meaning that you can oftentimes leave targets bound and completely open before they ever get to you. So, on top of this, we have access to their different weapon types, which is very handy, on account of the fact that they've got pikes on a spellcaster that's able to essentially use their melee attacks to attack from safety, turn on their Gorge and Lock for a huge amount of defense, and then from there use something like Trailblazer. There we go. They're able to use their Trailblazer to get a lot of extra distance. So they've got the movement, they've got the resistance, they've got instills if you'd like to train them in their elements and stuff like that. And again, I haven't tried out the lane line thing here. I think it's just the debuffs that it does, but it could potentially be really good for snapping away an entire area, as it were. So we'll fast forward here real quick so that we can get back to her turn real quick and give that a little bit of a shot. But you can see how fun a class like this can be. So, very wide debuff access, really fun gear access. They're not much to speak about defensively. Again, very FFT vibes in particular respect. That I oftentimes find myself kind of intentionally going for those aggressive spear pushes, just to be able to keep her safe behind her Gorge and Lock. It oftentimes feels like that's the one thing keeping her alive. So, it's again a very thematically fun unit. I love that they can water walk. I love that they can water walk and lava walk. I think they have natural water walking. Yeah, they have natural wading, and then they so they can just wade into the water, and then they can turn on their lava walk. They can just they're just fun. They're such a fun unit to play around with. So I would say this is one of those units that when it was first announced, I was thinking like, this seems like a weird gimmick to go give yet another kind of metaphorical kind of hand assistance situation to the FFT fans, but in this particular case, this wound up being a very fun one. So yeah, easily became one of my favorites. Just because of the coolness of being able to cover themselves up in rocks, or to run across lava, or just cause little earthquakes or cause little tornadoes. It's just such a cool kind of master of nature vibe to this thing, So I love that. On top of that, they're reasonably quick. They're not exactly the quickest thing in the world, but they are reasonably quick. So this does give them a lot of potential to answer incoming threats, and additionally, they can swap between multiple different debuffs in most situations to give them a good bit of defensive potential. So they are, weirdly enough, a glass cannon that can become a tank that's very good at shutting things down while also kind of not wanting to put themselves out in the open, if that makes sense. Kind of, sort of, maybe a little bit. But anyway, friggin' love it, is what I'm trying to get at here. And totally not stalling for time while I wait for their turn to come up, because I want to see what ley line looks like. So their ley line looks a little bit like such. It's not here, it's not there, it's not in that other place, but let's go ahead and ley line over this way. So let's see, it said Rupture and Stagger, right? So Rupture and Stagger, so they're going to be a bit more open to different spell types, a bit more kind of capable of being hit by these things here, so potentially that actually... Here, you know what? We should turn on our infinite moves here so that I can try that out. I think that improves their spell performance against them. Let's go down here real quick, see if we can find our action infinite. There we go. We got to test this real quick. So, let's go ahead and reset to the start of their turn. So we've got this over here. She's a little bit shy of MP, so we'll go ahead and give her that real quick, and I will go ahead and turn on that ley line there, as well as comparing how this looks. So we've got our Metamorph right here, and you'll notice that it was very expensive to begin with. So let's say over here we've got these two targets right here, 110 and 92. I'll go over here, throw out this ley line, and see what this looks like. So 100% chance to inflict both. I don't know if it's absolutely guaranteed, or if it's just really good on her hands. She actually did end up using everything there, so... Alright, bit of a whoopsie on my part. Anyway, we'll go ahead and improve her... No, we won't do that at all. We're just going to go ahead and maybe reset to that previous turn and just test it on this guy, That probably would have been the better way to do it. Okay, so she goes over here, she uses her MP leaf. We'll speed it up as we do. Looks like our basic ones do 161. We'll go ahead and do this ley line thing here. Is there anyone that avoids this? Because this seems... Yeah, this seems like it's guaranteed. Doesn't affect friendlies, so that's also good. So we'll get our ley line going, and then from there, did that improve it? Yes, it brought her up to 180. So this is a great way to actually open stuff up. Additionally, what else do we have here? So we've got our Trailblazer that looks a little bit like this. That they just sort of get their lava walk going, and we've got their Gorge and Lock, which they can no longer do. I know, what a shocker. Which allows them to go do something like this. And one thing that I really like about particularly this class combining in with what's that? The finishers for the spear in particular. Or for example, whenever, let's say they've got only 100 TP, normally what you'd be thinking is, I want to spend my TP abilities first. Like, let's say, want to use this ley line thing here, so use the ley line, let's say, as a bit of a setup here to inflict Rupture, but let's say you wanted to use it somewhere else, right? You wanted to use one of these abilities later. If, for example, you have stuff like Wind Scythe here, it drains TP. So if you have a target with a bunch of TP, you could potentially cause yourself to be able to use some of those other abilities at another time. It's like this guy's got 92, it ends up giving her back 38. That's enough for an additional instill. Let's say, who's got a bit more around here? Anyone got more? I guess they're not going to have very much more, but let's see, 38 was, I believe, just under half of that, so that seems to be roughly what they were leeching there. But this does create situations where, let's say, if somebody's about to inflict a finisher, you could potentially use that to kind of combo in with a lot of their other skills. This is more of a weapon feature than it is a direct class feature, but it's something I found particularly useful on her. Just because of her combination of other abilities there. So oftentimes I've used a Wind Scythe to go into an Instill, or kind of set up to be able to use a Gorgon Lock on the next turn and stuff like that. So just kind of something to bear in mind, something to be aware of, that it's there. And yeah, that's the Geomancer in a nutshell. They got cool abilities and stuff, man. They do cool debuffs and things, and we can actually show off the water one too. Let's go ahead and hop into the water here real quick. Remember that I forgot to turn on the MP. We'll make that happen real quick. There we go, use that, go into the water, and we'll go ahead and pop that Steam Flash out there. See, this is going to give us, what, slow? So I'm just go ahead and Steam Flash over here. So if you missed your old, not Aqua Bubble, but if you missed some of your old slowing abilities from the Octopus, there you go. You got your Steam Flash over here. So that's pretty neat. We can go ahead and probably move over to this one over here, see what some of the other ones look like. Except we won't, because I still don't have enough MP on her. This is why you want to absorb MP on this class. Then we can kind of metamorph over here. So yeah, great class. Great deal of fun. Definitely not just a blatant FFT reference. It actually does have a really interesting strategic position here. And yeah, then for the next one, we'll be covering some other stuff. So y'all have yourselves a good one. Give the Geomancer a try if you haven't gotten it yet. And again, you get this one from doing the Elemental Temples. So that's kind of about that. Y'all have yourselves a good one. Take care.